is closer to us than the strap of the sandal. Death is in our face every day of our lives, and yet we put off, we go to sleep, we fall to sleep. حَاسِبُوا قَبْلَ أَن تُحَاسَبُوا. And so putting off. Daylami mentions a beautiful hadith in which it was related that شِعَارُ شَيْطَانِ التَّسْوِيفِ يُلْقِيهِ فِي قَلْبِ الْمُؤْمِنِ, that the slogan of shaitan is procrastination that he thrust into the heart of the believer. وَخَيْرُ الْبِرِّ أَعْجَلُهُ. The best righteousness is the one that's done immediately. That's why the prayer is done immediately. All the action should be done immediately. Like the saying that you should live in the dunya as if you live forever, but work for akhirah as if you die tomorrow. If you're going to die tomorrow, in akhirah matters, you're going to try to get them all done today. Whereas in dunya matters, if you have to forever to do them, you can procrastinate with dunya matters. You can't procrastinate with akhirah matters. What we do now is we procrastinate for akhirah matters, and we do dunya matters. And one of the signs of taqwa is that the mu'min, if he's given a choice between dunya and akhirah, he chooses the dunya matter over the akhirah matter over the dunya matter. That's a sign in itself. And then he says, رَأْسُ الْخَطَايَا هُوَ حُبُّ الْعَاجِلَةِ. The source is love of ajila. That's why this procrastination. لَيْسَ الدَّوَاء إِلَّا فِي اضْطِرَارِ لَهُ. There's no cure from all of these things that he's mentioned except to flee to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tubu ilallahi. And then I'll just end this by a saying of Ibrahim al-Khawas, who was one of the Salihin from Sham, and he gave 5 things in which the heart could be cured. دواء القلوب في 5 أشياء. قراءة القرآن بالتدبر. Reading the Quran with reflection. The heart can be cured by the Quran. The Quran is shifa lima fi sudur. It's a cure of what's in the heart. And we have to return to the Quran. We have to become people of Quran. We have to become people of tilawa. We have to become and tilawa in Arabic means to recite, but it also means to follow. It's a beautiful language. You see, it means to recite, but it also means to follow. الَّذِينَ يَتْلُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ حَقَّ تِلَاوَتِهِ. Those who recite the book of Allah as it should be recited, as it should be followed. Not only do they read it, but they actually act according to it. وَالْقَمْرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا. The moon, when it follows the sun, تَلَاهَا. It's the same word, تَلَا يَتْلُو, to recite. So reciting the Quran should mean following the Quran. So we should recite it with tadabbur. And then he says, وَخَلَاء الْبَطَنِ. The al-bitna تُذْهِبُ الْفِطْنَةِ. That too much food will ruin your intellects. And one of the signs the Prophet said after the Qurun al-Mufaddala, he said, خَيْرُ الْقُرُونِ قَرْنِي ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونُهُمْ ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونُ ثُمَّ يَظْهَرُ فِيهِمُ السَّمَنُ. And then he said, and then people start getting plump. Plump. And that doesn't count for the ladies, it counts for the men. Because the urf of people, some countries the women are plump, and there were sahabiyat that we know, even the Prophet's beloved wife Sauda, Umar, when he saw her because she was a heavy-set woman, even though she had the hijab, he said, I know who you are, Sauda, because she was heavy-set. So the Prophet didn't bother her about that. So it's not, that's not, the women need weight for childbirth and things like that, but not pathological weight, and we should know the difference. So the khala al-batan, wa qiyam al-layl, the getting up in the night, literally this will purify the heart and cure the heart of diseases. Wa tadarru' 'inda as-sahr, and the time of sahr is an important time, right before the fajr. That is the important time. My sheikh wrote a beautiful poem, Ya nafsi qumi war'i wa anzajri وَلَّذَّةَ الدُّنْيَا دِمِيعًا فَهْجُرِي. And then he says, وَلَا سِيَّمَ الْهُجُوعَ وَقْتَ السَّحَرِ. Leave all of the pleasures of this world, especially that pleasant sleep right before Fajr. You have to abandon that sleep, and inshallah Allah give us the strength to do that, because that's a time وَبِالْأَسْحَارِ هُمْ مُسْتَغْفِرُونَ. Those people who during that ashar, they ask forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And really, this is what we have to do to revive this ummah, to begin to get up and complain to the one who loves complaints. Allah loves complaints. Everybody in creation hates complaints. You come to me, start complaining to me, and I'm going to not be very patient. But you go to Allah and He loves complaints. And we know in the hadith that He actually will not answer the prayer of a slave that He loves because He loves to hear him call on Him. SubhanAllah. So Allah loves that. So we should make tadarru'. And the last one, mujarasat as-salihin, sitting with the righteous people. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, attaqullah wa kunu ma'a sadiqeen. O you who believe, have taqwa of Allah and be with those of sidq, of truthfulness, people who remind you of Allah. Like Ahmed Zarruq said, لا تصحب إلا من ينهضك حاله ويدلك على الله مقاله. Don't take as a companion except one who his state will get you nasheet, get you going, get you energized to be worship Allah. ويدل على الله مقاله, and what he says takes you to Allah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر. The Prophet ﷺ said, if you knew what I knew, you wouldn't go out at night. And that's not a joke. Because most of the ma'asiyah to Allah takes place in the night. Like vampires, they're awake at night, they have to go into their coffins during the daytime. That's the way a lot of these shayateen are. They're active at night and they're passive during the daytime. And that's why they say, Nawm al-zalim ibadah. The sleep of the oppressor is like worshipping, because it's the only time they're not doing anything wrong. And the people of night sleep during the day. So, the other thing, it's unfortunate. I think part of it is, Aisha, there's a beautiful tradition that An-Nasa'i relates about Aisha radiallahu anha when the Habashi were dancing in the masjid and they were singing Aba Qasim Tayyiba in Habashiyya. They were like praising the Prophet in Habashiyya. And the Prophet took her and he was hiding her with his rida, his cloak, and he asked her, Aturidi an tanduri, Ya Aisha, do you want to look? And she said, yes. And then she said, I got up on his shoulder and her cheek was next to the Prophet's cheek. And she said, radiallahu anha, she said that the Prophet said, Hasbuki, is that enough? She said, La, I want to see some more. And then he said after a little while, Hasbuki, is that enough? She said, no. And she said, Wallahi, I didn't want to watch them. I just wanted women to know her maqam, how close she was to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's a beauty. She's a young girl. She was a very young girl. But in the hadith, the point of that is she said, I was at an age that people, yahtam billahu, that the entertainment still was something enjoyable, which is an indication that at a certain age, when people are youthful, that entertainment is something, and the Prophet was not opposed to entertainment. Really, he was not opposed to entertainment. In fact, he asked about a walima for the Ansar, is there lahu? And when they said no, he said, bring some entertainment, because he said, يُعْجِبُهُمْ الْأَنصَارِ يُعْجِبُهُمْ اللَّهُ. The Ansar, they like entertainment. And he also said at one point, bring some entertainment on this Eid, because I like to show the Jews and the Christians that we have fusha in our deen, that that we're not all these dry, Puritan type people that don't have some enjoyment. No, entertainment can be. But what type of entertainment? This is the question. You see, our entertainment is not like their entertainment. Their entertainment is filled with things that we really shouldn't be looking at. And what they call parental guidance, subhanallah. This just really pornography from a Muslim perspective. And it corrupts our youth. It corrupts the youth. It really does. And even, I've written one commentary on a Disney movie. I'm watching all these Disney movies to, not encouraging youth to do that, but to do actually analyses of them, because they're very insidious films that actually have deep, hidden, subliminal messages to our youth. And most of the messages deal with, in fact, disobedience to parents. It's not a joke. It's very deeply ingrained. If you look at The Little Mermaid, it's basically about a girl who's refusing to obey her father. And what the message of the movie is, disobey your father, marry whoever you want, which in this culture means sleep with whoever you want, and your father will still love you. That's the message. And the same with the Aladdin is actually a deep attack on the Sharia of Islam. In fact, it's even though they don't blatantly say it, I'll just give you very quick examples. The scene where she steals an apple or takes an apple to feed a poor person and they're about to chop her hand off, which has nothing to do with the Sharia of Islam.